Shalom, shalom. I look forward to diving back in, resuming where we left off in Talmud, Yerushalmi, Niddah, chapter 1. We're finishing up Halakha 3. So last time we joined together, we looked into Halakha 2 and we started 3, but there was so much to cover. um, and so we are resuming our discussion of the qualifications of the virgin. We remember there were 4 types of women whose timing was sufficient for the time that they were able to notice, observe, and announce the beginning of their Niddah based on the visible sighting of blood, which was connected to, keep this bookmarked in your notes, connected to the announcing of the arrival of the moon, the Molad, the Rosh Chodesh. All of these are connected. And Bezrat Hashem, not this time, but as we conclude this halakha, I would like Bezrat Hashem next week to tie in this halakha to Purim, or specifically Purim Katan. So because this is a leap year, we have 13 months. We will be having Adar Beit, Adar 1. Adar Aleph, Adar 1, and Adar Beit, Adar 2, which allows us to experience Purim Katan during the month of Adar Aleph, the full moon of Adar Aleph, and Purim Gadol during the full moon of Adar Beit. So I would like to tie Niddah into the observances of the moon and into some secrets pertaining to Purim. Bezrat Hashem, Bleed Nader, we'll see how this goes. Hopefully I can get into that next week. But again, we will now be resuming Halakha 3 from chapter 1, where we left off of the 4 types of women, the 3 types of virgin, and the types of virgin, including the virgin of the earth and the virgin of the trees, the sycamore, and of course, the virgin of mankind. So I am reading out of the book. I, of course, have it to follow along here in our share screen. All right. Are you seeing and hearing me and the screen okay, Nasika?
And I can hear you and I can see Jerusalem, Talmud, Niddah 1, 3. Yes, can.
All right. Baruch Hashem,
Loud and
Baruch Hashem.
clear.
All right. And here we go. All right. ואפילו נישאת, ואפילו עיברה, ואפילו מניקה, ואפילו שופעת כל 7 לזכר וכל 14 לנקבה. וקסמה בידיך, בשעה שהוא זכר 7, ובשעה שהיא נקבה י"ד, וכי שהפסיכה דם טהור, כהדדתנה. הפסיכה דם טהור ולא רעד, ואחר כך רעד. ובמעשה לבני חכמים, ואמרו די שעתם. על דעתי דרב דהו אמר, מעיין אחד הוא אלא שהתורה Tichara oto nicha. Oh, Baruch Hashem, we have someone joining us. All right. Shalom, shalom, Akoti Jasmine. Toda Rabah for joining. Yay! We always love your presence. Yay. All right. Baruch Hashem. Diving right back into the text. Here we are. Al date de Rabbi Yanai du Amar. מעיין אחד הוא אלא שהוא משתנה התגלות. על דעת דלוי דהוא אמר שני מעיינות הן אפילו לא הפסיקה דם טהור תחיה דיה שעתה. אמר רבי מנה טעמי דלוי שמתוק שהיא מתרגלת בדמים טהורין היא מתרגלת בדמים טמאים. אמר רבי יוסי בי רבי בון יחיל לוי פטר למנהדה דתנינן. רבי יוסי אומר מעוברת ומניקה שעברו עליכן 3 עונות דיין שעתן. ותנה עלה ימי עיבורה וימי מניקותה מצטרפים ל3 עונות. דהוא סבר מעיין אחד הוא. ברוך השם. It's our first portion. Hashem. And we have Rabbinit Shula joining us. Toda Rabbah. Shalom, shalom. So I'm gonna read.
Shalom, Toda Rabbah.
Shalom, shalom. I'm gonna read. You all have this translation on the screen. I'm gonna read the translation and commentary from the book. We just finished our first section. We're still in Niddah, Talmud, Yerushalmi, chapter 1, halakha 3, the continuation of the delineation of the virgin. And we are continuing from the 3 types of virgin. And now we are elucidating further, or we're reading the sages elucidate further on the differences between the virgin with respect to blood and childbirth. So Safaria here is, it seems like for the most part, following the text. In my book version, however, pun intended, Freudian slip, the Schottenstein edition has added some extra explanations, but you'll get the gist of it from following along on the screen. The Mishnah ruled that a virgin who experiences her first discharge is not tameh retroactively. A Baraita expands on this ruling. A woman who has never experienced a discharge of uterine blood is not tameh retroactively, even if she married, even if she became pregnant, even if she is nursing, and even if she streams blood all 7 days after having given birth to a male. This was stated by the Mishnah. The fact that the woman conceived proves that she has ovulated and that she would have menstruated had she not conceived. Nonetheless, the Baraita rules, since she has not yet actually menstruated, she is still a virgin with regard to Niddah blood. And I'm just going to turn my camera off because the baby has awakened. So she'll be joining us. Nonetheless, the Baraita rule, since she has not yet actually menstruated, she is still a virgin with respect to Niddah blood. As we will see below, the Tana Rabbi Meir maintains that the reason a woman stops menstruating when she is nursing is that her body's production of milk takes the place of its production of Niddah blood. Remember, milk is formed from the blood, so it is a type of blood in and of itself. This is also why, in the wisdom of our sages, unlike some people who are jumping on the adult breastfeeding bandwagon, it's not recommended for adults to drink drink milk from the breast because it is derived from the blood of the woman. It is her blood that forms it. And this also lets us know the exorbitant amount of energy and life force that a mother gives to the child. So much of her nourishment, so much of her body's minerals and nutrients are taken from her. This is why supplementation and optimal consumption is imperative. You have all of our most vital nutrients being drawn from us. This is also why, that stereotype of the mom brain and the brain fog and all these things, the memory, the brain is actively reconstructing itself as the brain of the baby is formed. And this is from the scientific standpoint as well as our sod understanding of the formation and building of the mochin, the chokmah, bina, and da'at from the mother. And her wisdom pouring into the child literally from the milk, and her soul building the zelem of the child because the soul is in the blood. Yet I digress. Back to the commentary. Her body's production of milk takes the place of its production of Niddah blood. It is a result of the same hormones. Accordingly, one might think that a woman whose body produced milk is not a virgin with respect to producing blood because it has already produced some of the hormones needed to trigger a uterine discharge. The Baraita therefore teaches that this is not so, and that she remains a virgin until she experiences an actual discharge of blood. Okay. Next page. Even if she streams blood all 7 days after having given birth to a male, or all 14 days after having given birth to a female. A woman is tameh in any case during the 7 days after giving birth to a male and the 14 days after giving birth to a female. Thus, the only time during these days that retroactive tumah will have any significance is if she experiences a blood discharge on the first day after childbirth, when retroactive tumah will extend backward to before the birth, when she was otherwise tahor. But if the law has no relevance after the first day, why does the Baraita say that a woman is not retroactively tameh even if she streams blood all 7 days or all 14 days? In order to explain this phrase, the Gemara at this point assumes that the Baraita means that blood that she discharges on the first day does not render her retroactively tameh, even if the discharge continues for 7 days or 14 days. Accordingly, the Gemara asks, does she have a divining stick in her hand? Interesting, right? That she knows on the first day that she would continue to discharge blood for the next 14 days. Of course not. On the first day, it is not known how long she will continue to discharge blood. Why then does it matter if she in fact discharges blood for the next 7 days or 14 days? And Baruch Hashem, Toda for joining us. Akoti Mandy, always beautiful to see you. Toda Rabah, and welcome. Baruch Hashem. I think I can sneak back on camera for a second until baby pops up again. The Gemara answers that the Baraita's law regarding bleeding during those days is relevant to blood that she discharges after those days are over. The Baraita means that when the baby is a male, there are only 7 days during which bleeding does not affect her status as a virgin. And when it is a female, there are only 14 days that this is true. But she must stop bleeding after the first 7 or 14 days and not discharge Tahor blood in order to retain her status as a virgin. The Gemara supports its explanation of this Baraita from another Baraita. This explanation is as that which a different Baraita teaches regarding a woman who gave birth and she refrained from discharging Tahor blood, so she did not experience a discharge of uterine blood for 3 months, and she then experienced a discharge of blood after having missed 3 periods. Such an incident came before the sages for a ruling, and they said that it suffices for her to be considered tameh from her time of discovering the blood, and she is not tameh retroactively. The Baraita implies that if she had discharged Tahor blood, her subsequent discharge would have rendered her tameh retroactively. All right, to understand this sugya, a brief introduction to some of the laws of childbirth tumah as outlined in Vayikra or Leviticus 12, 1 through 8 is in order. A woman who gives birth becomes tameh with the same type of tumah as that of a niddah, even if no blood was discharged during childbirth. If she gave birth to a male, this tumah lasts for 7 days. If she gave birth to a female, the tumah lasts for 14 days. The night following the 7th day, if she gave birth to a boy, or the 14th day, if she gave birth to a girl, she may immerse in a mikveh and become tahor, even if she is still discharging blood. Tahara at this point is limited in that she is tahar with regard to her husband and to chulin, but she remains tameh with regard to terumah, kodashim, and entering the temple. Someone joining. All right, Baruch Hashem, Torah Rabbah, Rabbi Moshe Shimshon. So grateful to have you among us. Torah Rabbah.
Shalom, shalom, Rabbanit.
Shalom, shalom, Rabbi. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. Bezat Hashem.
Oh, these 7 or 14 Tameh days are followed by a Tahara period of either 33 days if she gave birth to a boy or 66 days if she gave birth to a girl. Any blood that she discharges from day 8 to day 40 in the case of a boy, or from day 15 to day 80 in the case of a girl, does not cause her to become a Niddah or Zava. These days, 8 through 40 in the case of a boy, and days 15 through 80 in the case of a girl are known as her Tahar days. Blood that she discharges then is known as Tahar blood, meaning that it does not render her Tameh. Following the Tahar days, the woman brings certain offerings and thereby becomes completely Tahor, even with respect to Terumah, Kodashim, and the temple. The Gemara will soon present a dispute among the Amoraim as to the reason Tahor blood does not render a woman Tameh. It emerges from this that any blood that she discharges for the first 7 days after birth if she gave birth to a boy, or the first 14 days after birth if she gave birth to a girl, is of no significance. She is Tameh during those days, even if she did not discharge blood, and she is Tahor afterward, even if she did discharge blood during those days, provided that she immersed in a mikveh after the Tameh days were completed. This bleeding after childbirth is the period of childbirth. The Baraita here teaches that a woman's bleeding after childbirth does not change her status as a virgin, quote unquote, who has never discharged blood, since the blood of childbirth is technically unrelated to Niddah blood. All right, and I know Rabbi Moshe Shimshon and Akoti Mandy may not know, but I am reading. We see the text on the screen from Safaria, but I am reading the further commentaries. I'm not sure if you can see my camera. Wait a second. Just pause the share. All right, so I am reading the additional commentaries, which can be very extensive from the hard copy Talmud Yerushalmi. So if you're wondering why that's not on the screen, that's why. All right, resume the share. Okay. Although the blood of childbirth is unrelated to Niddah blood and it therefore does not compromise a woman's status as a virgin, discharging Tahor blood, even though it does not make a woman tameh, does compromise her status as a virgin. That is, if she discharges Tahor blood, her subsequent discharges, once the Tahor days are over, will not only render her tameh going forward, but they will render her tameh retroactively for 24 hours before those subsequent discharges were found. In addition to the opinions of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yehoshua in our Mishnah regarding the status of pregnant or nursing women, there is a third opinion. In that Mishnah, Rabbi Yoshe maintains that a pregnant or nursing woman is exempt from retroactive tumah only if she passed 3 cycles without menstruating. The sages in our Baraita ruled that the cycles that a woman missed during the Tahar days are included when counting the 3 missed cycles. The Baraita implies that the woman was considered to have missed 3 periods and was therefore not subject to retroactive tumah because she actually missed her period during the Tahar days. If she had experienced a discharge of blood during those days, she would not be treated like a woman who missed her period, even though a discharge during those days would not make her tameh, and she would be retroactively tameh when she later experiences a blood discharge after the Tohar days. By the same token, a virgin who experiences a discharge of blood during her Tohar days is not treated like a woman who never discharged blood, and she will be retroactively tameh when she later discharges blood after her Tohar days. The upcoming discussion revolves around a 3-way dispute among the Amoraim as to why blood that is discharged during the Tohar days does not render a woman tameh. According to Rav, ordinary Niddah blood, tameh blood, and Tohar blood are physically identical. The Torah simply declared that although this blood would otherwise render the woman tameh, it does not have this effect if it was discharged during the Tohar days. According to Rabbi Yanai, there is actually a physical difference between tameh blood and Tohar blood, and it is this difference that makes one tameh and the other tahor. Rabbi Yanai explains that both types of blood emanate from the same source within the woman's body at the end of the 7th day if the woman had given birth to a boy, or 14th day if the woman had given birth to a girl. The Tameh blood ceases to flow from this source, and Tahor blood begins to flow from it. And the process is reversed at the end of the 40th day in the case of a boy, or the 80th day in the case of a girl. Levy agrees with Rabbi Yanai that there is a physical difference between Tameh blood and Tohar blood. Also, keep in mind, as I've said before, when we see these disputes or makloket between the sages in the text, again, it's always wise to take note of who is debating and even do a little digging into the significance and symbolism of their names and why these particular rabbis are speaking on this particular issue. And always remember again that the disputes are not to contradict each other. They are perspectives from different vantage points, perspectives at different levels of pardes. Always keep pardes in mind. Pashat, Remesh, Drash, and Sod. So different sages will see a matter according to their level, according to their realm of expertise, let's say, according to their skills. So, again, never a contradiction, always for edification to bring out the different levels of understanding. And just a moment, I'm going to run and grab my charger before the laptop dies. For your patience, I had to get the charger. So I'm trying to run through this. Again, we are collecting information. I want to get through Halakha 3 and close that out. And as I said earlier, when Nasika Bina was on the line, Bezrat Hashem Bli Nader, as time permits, next week, I would love to tie in some of the secrets and the codes of this halakha to Purim, as we are getting ready for Purim Katan and eventually Purim Gadol coming up. So we definitely want to be diligent in our study and at all levels through all of our tractates of our Talmud. We know that there are so many secrets and so much interconnectedness with our Chagim. So Purim is coming up, and we want to be able to connect all that we're studying and learning to enhance the kavanot during our observances of the Chagim or Moadim, our feasts. Baruch Hashem. Toda Rabbah, Rabbi Ariel, for joining. Always good to have you. So, as I was saying, we're just collecting information. These halakhot can be very robust with commentary. So I'm trying to speed through the translation and the commentary. And again, next week, we want to discuss the codes of Halakha 3 of Niddah, tying it into Purim. Bezrat Hashem. So I'm going to run back through the commentary. All right. Levi agrees with Rabbi Yanai that there is a physical difference between Tameh blood and Tahor blood. However, he goes farther than Rabbi Yanai and maintains that the two types of blood actually emanate from different sources within a woman's body. The source of Tameh blood closes at the end of the 7th or 14th day, and it reopens at the end of the 40th or 80th day. The Gemara challenges an Amoraic ruling from the Baraita it just cited. According to the view of the Rav, who says that there is only one source that emits both Tameh blood and Tahor blood, but the Torah has declared blood from this source Tahor during the Tahor days. All is well. And likewise, according to the view of Rabbi Yanai, who says that there is only one source that emits Tameh blood and Tahor blood, but that during the Tahor days, the source switches from emitting Tameh blood to emitting Tahor blood. All is well. But according to the view of Levi, who says that there are two sources of blood, one of which produces Tameh blood and one of which produces Tahor blood, even if a woman did not refrain from discharging Tahor blood, when she later discharges ordinary blood, it should be sufficient for her to be considered Tameh from her time of discovering that blood. Since Tameh blood and Tahor blood are completely unrelated, the Tameh blood was the first discharge that emanated from her Tameh source. There's a question about this. The Gemara answers. Rabbi Mana said Levi's reason to rule that a discharge of Tameh blood is Tameh retroactively if it follows a discharge of Tahor blood is that since the woman would be in the habit of disregarding Tahor blood, she could become used to disregarding Tameh blood without realizing that it is in fact Tameh blood and subject to different rules. Another answer, Rabbi Yoshe, the son of Rabbi Boone, said Levi can answer this question based on that which the Mishnah taught below. Rabbi Yoshe says, it is only for a pregnant woman and a nursing woman for whom 3 periods have passed without a discharge of blood that it suffices for them to be considered tameh from their time of discovering the blood. And a Baraita taught regarding this ruling The days of a woman's pregnancy and the days of her nursing combine to make a total of 3 periods without menstruation. Could this Braita, which does not limit its ruling to a case where the woman did not discharge blood during the Tahor days, hold that there is only one source that emits both Tameh blood and Tahor blood? Of course not. The Braita must hold that Tameh blood and Tahor blood come from separate sources, unlike the Braita cited earlier. Otherwise, it would have limited its ruling to a case in which the woman did not discharge Tahor blood. And Levy follows this Braita over the Braita cited earlier. So let's go to the commentary again. The Gemara proceeds to analyze the law just inferred from the Braita, according to all 3 Amoraic opinions. The blood of childbirth is, according to all opinions, physically different from Tameh blood and is not relevant to the upcoming discussion. The Gemara just deduced from the Braita that a woman who experienced a discharge of blood during her Tahor days is not treated like a woman who missed her period, and she is retroactively Tameh when she later experiences a blood discharge after her Tahor days. This is readily understandable according to Rav, who said that Tahor blood comes from the same source as Tameh blood, and that the two are physically identical. Since she experienced the discharge of the same substance that is now Tameh, there is no reason to treat her as a woman who has missed her period. Although Tahor blood is physically different from Tameh blood, according to Rabbi Yanai, it is nonetheless understandable that a discharge of Tahor blood proves that a woman's body has not missed producing a period, since the 2 types of blood are produced by the same source. The woman will therefore be treated like a woman who has not missed a period, and she will be Tameh retroactively when she discharges Tameh blood after the Tahor days. According to Levy, Tahor blood is like a nosebleed. A woman therefore can never after the birth experience a discharge from the source of her Tameh blood until after her Tahor days end. Accordingly, even a woman who discharged Tahor blood has nonetheless missed several periods from the source of her Tameh blood, and her first discharge of blood from that source should not make her Tameh retroactively. It is true that a woman who has discharged Tahor blood has missed a period of discharge from her Tameh source, according to Levy. In theory, then, this time should still count as one of her 3 missed periods, and the next Tameh discharge should not make her Tameh retroactively. However, a woman might confuse a discharge of Tahor blood with a discharge of Tameh blood. That is, if a discharge of Tahor blood were disregarded, a woman might likewise disregard a discharge of blood after the Tahor days and mistakenly think that she did not experience a Tameh period. The rabbis therefore decreed that it suffices for a woman considered Tameh from her time of discovering the blood only if she went 3 periods without discharging any blood at all, even Tahor blood. If a woman missed 2 periods at the end of her pregnancy plus 1 period when she was nursing after the birth, or if she missed her last period during her pregnancy plus 2 periods when she was nursing after the birth, or if she missed 1.5 periods at the end of her pregnancy plus 1.5 periods while she was nursing, she is considered to have missed 3 consecutive periods, and she will not be subject to retroactive tumah, even according to Rabbi Yoshe. So these periods relate to years, essentially. So we know, even according to the standards and the worldwide averages of the United Nations, the worldwide average of nursing is 3, sometimes 4 years old. But the standard in Torah is a minimum of 2 years. 2 years is the time of weaning. So 2 periods corresponds to 2 years. And of course, the 1 year, or the 1 period that they're delineating during pregnancy is obviously her pregnancy, 9 months, and the time of recovery afterwards, accumulating 40 days for a boy or 80 days for a girl, those weeks of recovery. And we know even modern science shows us that postpartum recovery is literally a minimum of 3 years for the organs of the woman to go back to their original locations, for the healing and repairing of things like diastasis recti, for the hormonal ecology to rewrite itself or reorder itself. So postpartum is not, unfortunately, the 6 weeks that they tell us. 6 weeks, you're good to go. Get up and running, go back to work. It's actually a minimum of 3 years recovery for from childbirth and from nursing, which, as we discussed briefly earlier, takes an exorbitant amount of energy and nutrition and nourishment from the woman. Minerals, vitamins, all kinds of essentials are, I don't want to say sacrificed, but definitely prioritized for the baby. Again, why the woman's deep and sumptuous support by not only her husband, but the entire community, village, family is so critical and crucial, because she has so much that she's giving to build that child, and she needs to be poured back into. And especially in Western society, that can be greatly forgotten and neglected. And I like to think that that's actually by design. They know what they're doing. So I digress. I think we have someone entering. Oh, okay. Oh no. Not able to see the waiting room. Okay. Alrighty. Toda, for bearing with me. I know that some of the commentary can be very tedious and it seems redundant and repetitive, but again, we know everything in Torah is intentional. There's never a wasted word. And we just have to be able to excavate and decode with patience. So the Gemara's challenge to Levi derived from the way the previous Baraita phrased this ruling that a blood discharge after the Tahor days does not render a woman tamei retroactively. That Baraita clearly implied that the leniency applies only if she did not discharge blood during the Tahor days. By contrast, the Baraita cited by the Gemara here speaks simply of the days of a woman's pregnancy and the days of her nursing, causing later discharges not to render her tamei retroactively, without stipulating that the woman did not discharge blood during those days. Although the Baraita is addressing Rabbi Yoshe's opinion, which is referring to a woman missing periods during these times, it surely does not mean to exclude the normal case of a woman who bled during childbirth itself. Another thing I'll quickly mention, many surprisingly seem not to realize that nursing is, let's say, a natural form of birth control, which seems obvious. Most women who practice what we call exclusive breastfeeding, that means not supplementing by a bottle, not pumping, will find that they can indeed go up to 2 or 3 years without a period. So, more points for the lactation gang. More incentive for breastfeeding. Since it is likewise normal for a woman to bleed during the Tahor days, if the Baraita's ruling were limited to the unusual case in which the woman did not bleed then, the Baraita should have stipulated that this was the case it was discussing. According to this last Baraita, it must be that tamei blood and Tahor blood come from different sources, or they are physically different, and that the woman therefore missed several periods from the source of her tamei blood, even if she discharged Tahor blood. The Mishnah ruled that a pregnant woman who experiences a blood discharge does not become tamei retroactively, beginning with the time her fetus becomes noticeable. The Gemara discusses when exactly this is. How long into the pregnancy does the noticing of the fetus occur? So remember what I hinted at earlier, how this is connected to the viewing or the appearance of the molad in regards to the lunar cycle. Microcosm and macrocosm, the physical body of the woman and her Niddah cycle, ovulatory cycle, her menstrual cycle, what you may want to call it, is a microcosmic reflection of the macrocosmic cycles of the universe, of the celestials, of the moon. So the noticing of the fetus. So that if the woman discharges blood, she is not deemed tameh retroactively. Let me reread that because I had to continue from the previous page. How long into the pregnancy does the noticing of the fetus occur so that if the woman discharges blood, she is not deemed tameh retroactively? The Gemara answers by citing a Baraita. Sumchos said in the name of Rabbi Meir, 3 months. Let's see. Did I go ahead? Let's see. Okay. Yes. Didn't read this yet. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And for time's sake, I'll just read it straight. Ad kama hu hakarat ha'ubar. Sumchos amar mishum Rabbi Meir. Ad shelosha chodashim wego. אף על פי שאין ראיה לדבר, זכר לדבר. ויחי כי משלוש חודשים, אמר רבי יהודן, ואפילו מעוברי רוח. הרינו קלנו כמו ילדנו רוח. תחרו חשש, תלדו חש וגו. רבי זרע, רבי בר זוטרא, רבי חנינא, בשם רבי חייא רבא. אפילו רובו של הראשון ורובו של האחרון והאמצעי שלם. אז היא אמר, 90 יום שלמים. ושמואל אמר, הן ועיבוריכן. אתה עובדה כמי רבנן דתמן ולידין עם 13 מן הראשון ו17 מן האחרון. או 17 מן הראשון ו13 מן האחרון ו5 שלמים באמצע. וביקשו לרבה ולד משום ספק ממזרות. אמר לו רב נחמן בר יעקב, כהדין עובדה אתה כמי אבא בר בא ואחשר. ואבא בר בא פליג על שמואל בראי. אמר רבי בא שניה היא אחרת העובר שניה היא לידתו. הכרת העובר. רבי יהודן באי סוף דבר עד שתלד לא אפילו הפילה. All right, getting into some interesting territory. Back to the commentary. Sumko said in the name of Rabbi Meir, 3 months. That is, if she finds blood after she has been pregnant for 3 months or more, she is tameh only going forward and not retroactively. If, however, she finds blood earlier than this in her pregnancy, she is tameh retroactively like a non-pregnant woman. Even though there is no actual proof to the matter, there is an allusion to the matter in Torah. For it is stated, and it was about when 3 months had passed that Yehuda was told, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law has committed committed harlotry, and moreover, she has conceived. That's a lot that's not on Safaria. It's really interesting how the Safaria translations work. All righty. The Baraita continues with another ruling concerning a pregnant woman who discharges blood. Rabbi Yudan said, even if she's pregnant with only a sac containing air. Safaria says, Rabbi Yudan said, even for a phantom pregnancy. Love the different translations. It is considered a pregnancy, and if she finds blood, she does not become tameh retroactively. For it is stated, we have conceived, we have had birth pangs. It is as though we have given birth to air. Ruach. It's also stated, conceive chaff, give birth to straw, etc. Having established that a fetus becomes noticeable 3 months into a pregnancy, the Gemara discusses how these 3 months are calculated. A dispute. Rabbi Ziyera said in the name of Rabbi Bar Zutra, who said in the name of Rabbi Hanina, who said in the name of Rabbi Chia the Great, the 3 months need not be 3 full months. Rather, even the majority of the first month, the majority of the last month, and a full middle month are considered to be 3 months. And the fetus is considered to be noticeable after this much time has elapsed. Rabbi Assis says, the fetus is considered noticeable only after a full 90 days. And Shmuel likewise says the 3 months must be complete with their intercalated days. So this will be fun to transition back to the Mishnah. Remember, we were heading, last time we were in the Mishnah, into chapter 3 about the miscarriages, abortions, and the sandal fetus, which I've been waiting to get into, but patience, slowly. We want to contextualize everything in order, all the proper definitions of all the different types of women and bodies and exemptions and blood types. So we go in order, but you can see where we're leading to. So to the commentary. This agrees with the ruling of a Mishnah in Yevamot that a woman's pregnancy becomes noticeable 3 months into the pregnancy. And it's funny because culturally, it's common that, some people can, be very protective of their pregnancies. And I know I heard all the time that, you don't tell anybody about your pregnancy until at least after the first trimester for various reasons. And, some in our culture throughout the diaspora can be very vigilant about not even speaking to or sharing about pregnancy or even being around a whole bunch of people being out and about, maybe even up until the whole duration of the pregnancy. But certainly, at minimum, the first trimester was zealously protected for guarding against ayin hara, lashon hara, the evil eye, the evil tongue, the dinim that can even come from the thoughts and speech of people out of envy or jealousy or what have you. And, nowadays we have so many people online showing their pregnant bellies, pregnant bodies, exposing and, having countdowns and showing their ultrasounds. We know that really in our collective culture, that was not really a thing until very recently. We knew the deep spirituality of pregnancy and the sensitivity of pregnancy and the shaping and building of that life and protecting, again, not only the child, but the mother who's very vulnerable in this very high spiritual state during pregnancy. I mean, the mother is literally this high priestess this walking portal between the living and the dead, between the realm of the ancestors and the realm of the physical incarnate. And so, how much reverence and respect should we have for the pregnant mother that she shouldn't have to intermingle with all manner of, I don't want to say impurity, but let's say unprepared vessels. That's how I like to consider. We don't want to call people this or that or diminish anybody's level, but some vessels are prepared and some are not. Some are spiritually strengthened, and even maybe I can say spiritually sensitive, and some are not. So, in the face of those who may not be properly prepared or otherwise irreverent of the beautiful spiritual state of the mother and the baby forming within her, this again comes back to why we need to come back to that village mindset. I always implore everyone to read Sobonfu Somé. She is amazing. Her work, The Spirit of Intimacy and Welcoming Spirit Home. I recommend that to everybody living, literally, like everybody I meet, I'm like, read it. Because we need to really get back to that family community order and um, how that protects us all as a collective. We have to come back to that collective mindset and understand that it's not just some random woman and her baby. We all are guardians of the souls that come through the women in our collective. But I digress. So, the woman, we got here because we're seeing the discussion about the 3 months until the baby is visible, and the first trimester being so zealously guarded. And statistical fact is that many women do experience a miscarriage within the first 3 months. And the chance of pregnancy coming full term is mostly settled and solidified going into the second trimester. So that's also another reason why traditionally people didn't tend to share the news of a pregnancy until after the first trimester, because it's like, you're in the clear, yay, like we know this is going to last and we're going to make it. Bezrat Hashem. The verse states that when Tamar had been pregnant for approximately 3 months, this is in Bereshit, Genesis 38:24, her pregnancy became noticeable, and it was consequently obvious that she had allegedly committed harlotry. We thus see that a pregnancy is noticeable after approximately 3 months have passed. For various reasons why this is merely an illusion and not conclusive proof, it's telling us to view some other sources. Sometime after discharging blood, the woman gave birth to a sac containing air, or phantom pregnancy, instead of a baby. Although she was never actually pregnant with a viable baby, we do not say that such a non-viable pregnancy is not legally deemed to be a pregnancy. And we do know that the same word for spirit or a particular level of soul, of the 5 levels that we have, is ruach, the same word for air or wind. So that's something interesting to note and keep in mind. Rather, she is indeed considered to have been pregnant at the time of the discharge, and she is therefore not retroactively tameh from before the time of the discharge. In Isaiah Yeshayahu 26:18, The Israelite nation, which has suffered the pains of foreign oppression and anticipated imminent redemption, likens itself in this verse to a woman who has gone through the pains of childbirth, only to give birth to an empty sack of air. The Gemara deduces from this verse that being pregnant with a sack of air, ruach, is deemed to be a pregnancy. For the verse refers to it as we have conceived, we have felt the birth pangs. Yeshayahu 33:11, Isaiah 33:11. In this verse, the prophet mocks the enemy for having expected to capture Jerusalem. They did not succeed, so their thoughts and actions were in vain. The prophet uses conceive as a metaphor for thought and gave birth as a metaphor for action, and describes both as having produced nothing but straw and chaff. We thus see that the concept of pregnancy can be applied to something that is not viable. The months referred to here are calendar months. For example, if a woman conceived on the 15th of Tishri, her fetus will be considered noticeable on the 16th day of Kislev. By then, she will have been pregnant for 16 days in Tishri, the majority of the month, the entire month of Cheshvan, and the majority of Kislev. Thus, the minimal number of days required for a fetus to be considered noticeable is 62. And it specifies 16 plus 30 plus 16. This is why the verse states that Tamar's pregnancy became noticeable about when 3 months had passed. The amount of time that had passed was not 3 full months, but the minimum necessary to approximate 3 months. According to this view, 62 days is the minimum number of days needed for the fetus to be noticeable. The actual number of days will depend on when in the month the woman conceived. This is why fertility awareness method is so important. I have to quickly slip that in. Decolonize the kalau. Because doctors these days going by, the approximate date of your last menstrual cycle is far from accurate and very obviously and increasingly problematic for various reasons. But I'll save that for those who are learning about fertility awareness method. As mentioned above, if a woman conceived on the 15th of Tishri, her fetus will be considered noticeable on the 16th of Kislev, but if she conceived earlier in Tishri, her fetus will still not be considered noticeable until the 16th of Kislev, when the majority of the third month has elapsed. In this case, the number of days that she has been pregnant will be more than 62. Moreover, if she conceived on the 16th of Elul, in which case Elul was mostly over by the time she conceived, the first month of the count will be Tishri, and her fetus will still not be considered noticeable until the 16th of Kislev, which is 3 full months after conception. Rabbi Tahor the Great does not mean to disagree with the ruling by Rabbi Meir in the Baraita that the fetus is considered noticeable 3 months into the pregnancy. Rather, Rabbi Tahor means to explain that when Rabbi Meir said 3 months, he meant the majority of the first month, the majority of the last month, and the full middle month. According to Rabbi Asi, the verse refers to about when 3 months had passed because months generally alternate between lengths of 28 and 30 days. Again, keep this in mind. We will come back to this with the discussion of how this connects with the moon, the lunar cycle. Thus, 3 consecutive periods of 30 days are about the length of 3 months. Each month in the Israelite year can be either 28 or 30 days long. If witnesses who saw the new moon come forth on the 30th day, counting from the previous Rosh Chodesh, and their testimony is accepted, remember the idea of the woman's testimony being accepted.
No, she did.
No.
So no.
The woman's testimony being accepted upon the time that she has noted her Niddah being visible is likened continuously to the time in which the molad is announced by the acknowledgement of the visibility or sighting of the new moon. So keep the word testimony in mind as well. If witnesses who saw the new moon come forth on the 30th day, counting from the previous Rosh Chodesh, and their testimony is accepted, then that day is declared Rosh Chodesh of the new month. We do know that we are coming right up on Rosh Chodesh tomorrow night. In such a case, the previous month has only 29 days and is called deficient. If witnesses do not appear on the 30th day, the day is intercalated into the preceding month, and the next day is Rosh Chodesh of the new month. Keep all of this in mind as we are getting ready to observe Purim Katan and Purim Gadol, intercalation, Rosh Chodesh, all these things. In this case, the previous month contains 30 days and is called full, which literally means pregnant. And by the way, I'll just skip to the chase real quick. Adar Aleph, the first Adar on a 13-month calendar, is called the pregnant month. So when we have two Adars, the 12th month is considered the pregnant month. And Purim Katan is observed on the full moon of this pregnant month. But it's like a hiding of a pregnancy. Remember, we just talked about how culturally we tend to hide and keep secret the pregnancy until it is visible. So there's a big secret of why there's Purim Katan, the hidden Purim of the pregnant month, and Purim Gadol, the outward manifestation, the visible emergence of the miracle of deliverance, deliverance. So I kind of just cut to the chase for y'all, but we'll draw it out even more next time. Bezrat Hashem. So it's really exciting. The connections. Shmuel states here that the fetus is considered noticeable after 3 full months with their intercalated days. 3 months of 30 days each have elapsed. This yields a total of 90 days, identical to the time period specified by Rabbi Asi. Ooh, okay. Okay, so now I think we can turn the page. Those commentaries be long. Okay. The Gemara cites an incident that it will relate to the previous discussion. An incident came before the rabbis of Babylonia in which a woman gave birth less than 7 months after her marriage. And we do not know if, in this case, there were 13 days from the first month and 17 days. Scroll down a bit.
Yeah.
An incident came before the rabbis. And we do not know if, in this case, there were 13 days from the first month and 17 days from the last month, or 17 days from the first month and 13 days from the last month. But either way, there were only 5 full months in the middle. The rabbis therefore wanted to attach a possible status of mamzerut. Somebody better call Mari. Possible status of mamzerut to the child. But Rav Nachman Ben Yaakov said to them, a similar case came before Abba Bar Ba, and he ruled the child to be legitimate. He is the father, in our Mari voice. So, let's see. We still have a bit to go. Let me see how much more we. Oh, child. Oh, okay. All right. Well, for time's sake, I'm just going to read through the rest on Safari. Uh-oh. Hang on one moment. Okay. So I know we're going to miss a lot of the clarifications in the commentary, but for time's sake, I'm just going to read through the rest on Safari so we can finish this halakha, and we'll go into more of the details next time, Bezrat Hashem. Where was I? Okay, Rav Nachman Bar Yaakov told them such a case came before Abba Bar Abba, and he declared it acceptable. Does Abba bar Abba disagree with his son Shemuel? Rabbi Abba said there is a difference between recognizing a pregnancy and giving birth. A pregnancy is recognized after full months. A birth can happen after fractional months. There we have stated, how long can labor be? Rabbi Meir said even 40 to 50 days. Rabbi Yehuda said her month is sufficient. Rabbi Yoshi in the name of Rabbi Abba. This implies that a woman gives birth after fractional months, since otherwise one should have stated 30 days. Rabbi Yoshi ben Rabbi Abun in the name of Shemuel. This implies that a woman gives birth after full months, since we have stated her month is sufficient. Rabbi Yudan asked, does this hold until she gives birth? No, even if she had a miscarriage. So much to say. We'll save it for next time. Rabbi Mana said, I heard in the name of Shemuel that there is no difference between recognizing a pregnancy and giving birth, but I do not remember from whom I heard this. Rabbi Abba bar Kohen said before Rabbi Yoshi. Rabbi Yirmiyahu said this. Rabbi Chitzkiah said to him, Rabbi Yirmiyahu did not say this. Rabbi Yoshi was offended by him. He said to him, even Yahushua, who was bound to Moshe, would not have said so, but you said so. Uh-oh, they about to throw them balls. They about to get to knucking and bucking. He checked himself and said, it is true that he said that, but as a person who quotes something and questions it, does Abba bar Abba disagree with his son Shemuel? Rabbi Berekia, in the name of Shemuel, a woman gives birth only either after 271, 272, 273, or 274 days. Rabbi Mana said to him, from whom did the rabbi hear this? He said to him, from Rabbi Abba. The position of Rabbi Abba seems inverted. There he says there's a difference between recognizing a pregnancy and giving birth. And here he says so. Rabbi Abba bar Zutra, in the name of Shemuel, everything which is many is 273. Rav Chia bar Ashi was sitting before Rav, who saw him disturbed. He said to him, what is the matter? He said to him, my female donkey is pregnant. Keep that in mind. See, they don't just put stuff in here to just be funny or random. Even the animals, there's deep encoded meaning about this. It doesn't just so happen that he happened to have donkeys and other animals on his estate or his land or whatever, but this being specified is for a specific reason. And everywhere that you see animals mentioned, certain plants, everything is encoded. This is what we have to realize. Nothing is simply the Pashat level. And if you not in the sold level, you basically ain't in Torah at all. This is what we should know by now. He said to him, my female donkey is pregnant and will give birth. Then I have to get her to copulate before she is out of heat. He said to him, when did the male mount her? He said, on day X. He calculated and said, she still has some time until then. It was stated so. A quick one does not need less than the days of the moon, and one who is late is not later than the days of the sun. You know this is all encoded language. The words of Rabbi Yehoshua disagree, since Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi said, the cattle herd of Antonius passed by, and those of the house of Rebbe took bulls from them to copulate. Some cows gave birth soon, and some of them later. Here it is about an impure animal, there about a pure animal, but it is not written, do you know the time the mountain goats will give birth? Watch the birthing of gazelles. Count months, make them complete. You will know the time of their giving birth. He told him, a pure wild animal is like a domestic impure animal. So intriguing. So we will end there today. Toda Rabah for your patience, and Baruch Adonai Leolam, Amen ve Amen. Lots to look forward to next time. Besra Hashem. We have a lot to dive into and decode. Thank you all for being here. Toda Rabbah, Rabbi Moshe Shimshon, Toda Rabbah, Rabbi Ariel, Toda Rabbah, Akoti Mandy. So glad to see you all. Toda Rabbah, Nasika Bina, Toda Rabbah, Rabbinit Shula, and Toda Rabbah, Rabbi Moshe Shimshon. Got to see you more often. So, okay. You want to come over here? All right, we close it out. Toda Rabah again. Shavua Tov and Kodesh Tov. Getting ready for Rosh Kodesh. So I enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you all for coming on, especially so late. I appreciate your flexibility and your willingness to engage and participate. And Toda Rabah, Shabbat Shalom, Reverend Shula. We are preparing for Shabbat and Rosh Kodesh tomorrow night. Toda Rabah. See you all next time.
Odela, 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 Eva, Odela.